You're my diva, and I believe that I would tell. I'm glad that we all get to hear it right here first, and I appreciate you
Yes, me
playing
too.
that for people to be able to hear something and just really connect with it and feel the soul of it coming through like you're doing. I think that's what people are really looking for, what people really
Yeah.
need. Jeez, I like the hair, man. Hey
Thank you.
everybody, Johnny Stewart here from John's Guitar Lounge. I am super excited today because I am here with the one and only Amani Burnham. And if you have not heard him yet, I'm going to put links in the description of this video where you can check out all of his songs. But he is one of the most exciting new guitar players to come out lately. And I am so glad that he is here and that I can introduce him to all of you. So, Amani, let me shut up and put it over to you, man. Tell us what made you start playing guitar in the first place and how you've gotten to where you are now with your guitar journey.
Uh, it was definitely just, kind of my dad listening to like a ton of older music. I know that's kind of like the old story, but it really kind of like it always just that's the sort of music I grew up with. You know what I mean? It just sort of it spoke to me. It was just very it just felt more real, authentic compared to things like nowadays, if that makes sense. Because it's people, playing things through an amp and it's, singing live takes and stuff like that. So just something about that just kind of, really spoke to me. It's just, and especially just because I grew up with it, you know what I mean? It was all around. I mean, I love the Beatles, loved Chuck Berry and, kind of things of that nature. So eventually like it just, later on when I got older, I was like, I should maybe start taking this a little seriously.
Well, I don't blame you, and you can certainly hear that influence in your playing, except to me, when I listen, though, it's something fresh and it's something new, and it's a new take on that older stuff too, which I think is really,
Yeah.
really cool. When did you start playing the guitar? How old were you?
I believe I was like 11 when I started taking like lessons, and then I just started trying to play, but I didn't really like take it seriously. Like I'll be honest, I didn't really practice that much, but I started like kind of playing every day and really working on it when I was like 15, I'd say.
Sure, sure, that makes sense. And I'm sorry if this is a rude question or something. How old are you now, just so the audience knows?
No, it's not rude. It's normal. I'm 20 now. I'll be
Uh,
21 May 30th.
well, happy birthday coming up. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm excited.
I bet, I bet. But I'll tell you, you have done a ton of work, a ton of incredible work, um, in just a few years of really sitting down and playing. So I mean, you are proof positive that I mean someone can go from, like just starting to play around with the instrument to being a professional musician, a professional touring musician, recording musician in 5 years, which is just so, so
Definitely,
cool.
yeah.
That
It's
is
just
so, so cool.
playing playing every day. You know what I mean, and just like doing whatever you can to kind of keep it, exciting. Like learning new things on guitar is always exciting. Learning new licks. You're listening to a song, you're like, oh, that sounds cool. I got to add that, to my bag of goodies and stuff like that. So that's what's like definitely helped me.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Now, have you got like a certain like set practice routine, or do you just sort of sit down most days, like kind of like I do, and like I did when I was younger too, and just like put on a live concert or something like a recording of a live show or something like that, and just like play along to it, or what do you do to practice and to hone your skills anyway?
It kind of varies. There's not like one set routine. I'll just wake up and I'll just, play. I'll like probably do like a TikTok live, and then if I'm not doing that, then I'll just like I'll write some stuff, or like if I heard a lick like the night before, I'm like, all right, tomorrow I'm gonna try to learn that. Then I'll try to learn something like that. I don't play to like live concerts that much. I used to start doing this again, but I used to like play to a lot, like a ton of like just backing tracks, just to kind of work on my soloing, and it'll just be things like that. So it's not one set sort of plan.
Well, I like how you sort of just let it come to you and you just do what feels natural to you too, because I think that's usually the best way to do it. So many people are so regimented with a practice routine or think you have to be, and that's great if it works for you to do it that way. But that sort of thing wouldn't work for me because I mean, music has always sort of been my release from that like super strict regimented world. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, like if I wouldn't be able to just make myself, all right, you're gonna practice this for 15 minutes, you're gonna do this for 30 minutes, because if I do that, that'll just kind of take the fun out of it. But if I just tell myself to just sit down and play and sing and do whatever, then I'll, you know what I mean, it'll just be more entertaining.
Absolutely right. And you also are a really awesome singer too. So I'm glad that the singing came up naturally in our conversation. You've obviously got your influences. I don't want to say who I think those influences are. Number one, I want to hear that from you. And number two, I especially want to hear from the audience who they think your influences are when they listen to you. Because again, I think that you are uniquely Amani Burnham also, you know,
Thank
but
you. Yeah.
but certainly we've all got our influences. And so comment below, listen to some of his stuff and comment below and say who you think his influences are, everybody. But if you want to maybe hint toward that and steer people in a certain direction or something, you're welcome to do that right now too. If you want to talk about your singing
You
and
want me
how
to
that
like
developed too, you know,
you want me to like name drop some people,
you
or should
can't.
I?
Totally up
I
to
can.
you. It's
Well,
totally
because
up to you, man. Yeah.
I mean, like with the blues stuff, like singing wise, I love Joe Cocker. He's got like such a unique way of singing, and I love the the kind of energy he puts in it, like especially when you see him like on stage. Um, I do, despite both of them not being known for their singing, I love Dylan and I love like the way Hendrix sings, just because it's very like it's always with them. It's like the singing, the singing's it could be really good or it could be okay, but it's mostly about how they how it's like how they say it. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily what they say and how they sing it, but it's like how they say it in kind of the in the song, if that sort of makes sense. And then I love Phil Lynott. I love Thin Lizzy. I love the way he sings because that's kind of how I always felt. Because I know like I'm obviously like way into a lot of the Hendrix stuff, which is fine. But I always felt like the way I write and the way I like kind of try to sing, even before I was listening to a lot of Thin Lizzy and Phil Lynott stuff, it was matching more with that than I feel with a lot of the Hendrix stuff. So that's kind of how I try to find my voice, if that makes sense.
Interesting, and that does make sense to me because I mean it's funny you mentioned Thin Lizzy because I do hear a lot of Gary Moore in your playing as well, and that might be something that you know not everybody knows Gary like they know Hendrix and they know
Yeah,
Dylan. I mean Gary Moore, I don't care how many accolades he gets now, posthumously. I think that during his lifetime he was criminally underrated and I still
definitely.
think that he's criminally underrated. He seriously did things that so few people could do, especially because of how he mixed those styles and melded all these different styles. And you do the
Yeah.
same thing, as far as I'm concerned. It's more of an approach. I mean, I sort of see a similar approach and hear a similar approach in your playing, like a song like "I Want to Know." Like your song, that speaks to me, and I think that's a song that speaks to probably everybody because you are 20 when I listen to it, it makes me feel like I'm 20 and like I'm just
Yeah,
starting
yeah.
to think of all this stuff and notice all this stuff and it's not like in your face about it either. It's just very laid back and very natural. Like I want to know, and then fill in the blank. All these different things you sing about in that
Yeah.
song, and it's just a cool thing because it takes you back to that age of curiosity and all that. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why I wrote it. I mean, I'm at that age where it's like, you know, you just wonder a bunch as you get older, you just, wonder a bunch of things that, are just kind of happening in life or just kind of existential like thoughts that you may have, you know what I mean? So that's kind of why I wrote it.
Well, I can certainly understand why, and I think the message is coming through for sure. When did you start writing your own songs anyway?
I started I'd say I started playing every day at 15. I think at 16 that's when someone like I started like really 16, 17. I started really like writing a lot. And most of them didn't come out good, but like some of the songs that I wrote then are on the album now. So I just kind of, reworked them a little bit, lyrically and instrumentally a little bit. But yeah, so I and then ever kind of since then I've just been, writing. It's just been fun.
I'm 42, so I'm literally twice your age, and you probably don't want to compare yourself to me. But I mean, me being twice your age, I want to compare myself to you. I think the big difference that I see between you and me so far is that you're using songs now that you wrote when you were 16, and they're great songs. I listen back to stuff that I wrote when I was 16, and it all sucks. and and the same thing is true for stuff that I wrote last week. So I mean, I like to write music, but I don't think anybody else is going to want to hear it, as
Yeah.
opposed to your
Well,
stuff where you've got some great songs, man. And it's like that old adage, you can be the best guitar player or play the best guitar solo in the world. If that guitar solo is recorded in a lousy song, nobody's ever going to hear it because people want to hear
yeah.
songs.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's really where it's at.
It was just, I mean, for like writing at least, like, I mean, some of those songs, I wrote a lot of bad songs. I still write a lot of bad songs, but like, I always like, for me, like the best songs will just like, I'll be able to do it in like 40 minutes and I'll be like, all right, that's the song. I might add like a tiny thing like later, but most of the time, like that's the song. But then some of the ones where it's like, all right, this is, getting somewhere, or it could be something. I usually just keep going back and just kind of picking at it until I think, all right, now this is really good. So it's
Huh.
I understand what you're saying because sometimes like try to sit down and write something and it'll be like this could be something, but I need to change, and I'll go eat and I'll come back and kind of rework it. So it'll just be things like that. It's all trial and error.
What I will say about myself, not to badmouth myself too much, is I think that I write some decent melodies and some decent riffs, especially riffs and stuff like that. But the lyrics, it always sounds so cheesy to me. Like I feel like I don't have any original lyrics to
Yeah,
to put into a song, and
I've been
you
there.
let's face it, there's only so much stuff to really write about that reflects the human condition. But
Yeah,
but to have an original approach and to have your original voice shine through, I think is a real gift. And you've definitely
yeah.
got that, man,
I
from a
think
lyric
yeah,
perspective.
like
You
some of the
know?
stuff, like kind of how I write lyrics is like either like I'll just be walking the dog, taking a shower, sort of, or about to sleep, or like almost like falling asleep, and like I'll like come up with a line. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good, and then I kind of either go back to it later and then kind of like rework it, or like sometimes if I don't come up with riffs as often enough, but I come up with more like kind of chord progressions. So I'll like play the chord progression and then I won't hum like a melody, but I'll like kind of say words that I think will fit, if that makes sense. And that's kind of how I come up with lyrics. So sometimes the lyrics, most
Interesting.
of the time, my lyrics just kind of make no sense, but I just think it kind of sounds good the way it flows together. So it's all, but I like I said before, some of the best songs, it's like, all right, that makes sense, but that you know what I mean. So it's still trial and error. It's really fun though. Like when you get to like I don't know, I just love that I have the ability to be able to write, and even if it's bad, it's still fun to like write songs and lyrics and stuff like that.
Well, and that is such an awesome way to be able to express yourself and to get your feelings out. And for me also, when the lyrics aren't there, I mean, sometimes I just play and just play and play and play and play, and that can sort of inspire the lyric down the
Yeah,
road too. And like you're saying, it's like you sort of start with a melody a lot of the time, a melody and a chord progression and stuff, and maybe not even a melody, but the chord progression, and the words just sort of come naturally, and that's just such a cool thing.
yeah, definitely. I've been there. It's a treat. It's always just so fun. And so, some of my also like some of my best songs aren't even really blues rock. Some of them are just, kind of just straight, either just straight rock or kind of maybe a ballad or two. But yeah.
Would you be willing to play us a little something that's not on the album, like something that
Uh
you think is like classic Amani Burnham?
may have to tune.
Hey, that's the life of a guitar player, man. Tuning.
Yeah, it is. I broke my tuner the other day. It like got smashed in my case.
Oh, geez.
All right. There's this one. You're my diva, and I believe that I would tell, but I could not bear to wait till you tell. And when you looked across at me, you would find yourself in need. But indeed, I see your rings. It's just kind of like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, you know, some like that's a
Uh,
perfect example, like of the stuff we were talking about. Like, you know, those lyrics might not make that much sense, and like melody wise, I think I got the verse down, but then that pre-chorus I might change a little bit. So that's a perfect song of like, I mean, that's like a perfect example of a song where it's like I go back to that all the time and I sort of rework it like a tiny bit. But yeah.
it's nice to have like a home base to go back to, like just something that just feels good for you to play whenever you're just like sitting around or whatever, like nothing else is really coming to you, so to speak. I've got songs like that. I've got chord progressions like that that I've been playing since I was in my teens that have never really, fleshed themselves out into a song, but it's just stuff I like to play and it just feels good. And it's sort of like usually it'll be the first thing that I just naturally play when I put a guitar in my
Yeah.
hand. So that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been there. Yeah, that's one of those songs. Or like I'll go through phases. Like I'll have a song that I wrote and I'll play it like every day, and then eventually I'll play it sometimes and then like not at all. So that one I will say is on the way out. I haven't played that one in a little bit, but yeah, it's always fun.
Well, I'm glad that we all get to hear it right here first, and I appreciate you
Yes, me
playing
too.
that for us, man.
I think you might be the first outside of. I know my parents have heard me sing this song and play it like 1,000 times because I work on it all the time. But I don't know. You guys might be the first. So there you go.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Tell me about the album.
So
Whatever you want to tell me about the album, that's totally open ended.
it's called Roots and Wings, and we came up with that specifically for the fact because I'm from Africa, Ethiopia specifically, and I was adopted. So the Roots and Wings is like the roots. I haven't forgotten where I'm from. You know what I mean? And then the wings aspect is kind of the journey that I'll have like down the road. So I think that was like before even we talked about songs. We came up. All right, that's gonna be the definitely the name of the album and the sort of theme of it.
Huh.
And so and then the title track Roots and Wings is literally like specifically about that sort of stuff, which is it's always nice. And it's a lot of that stuff is it's not necessarily sensitive, but I don't talk about it as much in conversation. But like when it comes to like songwriting, it's easier for me to just have it in song than kind of sit down and talk to somebody about it. That makes sense. I which I always saves me a ton because it's like, what I mean? Like, it's just easier to it's just I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like harder to communicate it with like somebody, but if I just picked up my guitar and started playing Roots and Wings for them, then they'd probably understand. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I guess the sort of theme of it is that, and then it also kind of ties in with I want to know because, like we said, it's like questions that you have about life that you might not, I might not have got if I stayed in Africa, or you know what I mean. So it kind of ties in like that. But there's also like a lot. There's also some songs where it's just like it's just a a classic sort of like blues rock song, like the first song in the album Fast Lane is just a
Mm.
it's just to get you in the headspace of of the whole album. I mean, it's the first song, so we wanted it to be really in your face and kind of you know this is Amani Burnham. This is the kind of overarching like theme and the heaviness that it's gonna be. So fat that's what Fastlane was about. Sideways Through Time, it was kind of just like it was just a really fun sort of just a plain. I think that's the only song in the album where it's just like that's pretty much just a rock song. It's not really doesn't have much blues in it, but it's still like that's my Fast Lane and Sideways Through Time are my favorite. And there's some like Lovers Till They Die, like that's just about a very toxic and bad relationship that not that I had, but I like being like a teenager and in high school and college it's like you see this stuff, you hear about it with your friends, so I just thought I'm writing a song about it. And then Midnight Waterfall also sort of ties into Roots and Wings because I try to find myself as a person at the Midnight Waterfall. You know what I mean? And myself as a person is from Africa, so we try to make it not necessarily a complete like theme, but the sort of message that I'm trying to bring.
It's funny. You mentioned writing that one song, not from your own perspective, but from the things you see. I write a lot of stuff from the first person that I myself haven't actually experienced.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm pretty boring. So, I haven't had all that many, like, horrible, painful experiences, which I
Yeah.
guess is a blessing, really. But you see stuff going on around you, and writing from the first person perspective really adds a certain amount of urgency and immediacy, I think, in a song too. And so it's
Yeah.
interesting to hear that. But the fact that at such a young age you can take what you're seeing around you and put that into these amazing, I mean, truly amazing songs. I mean, you
Thank
know,
you.
you're welcome, and I mean that. It's not just you're rocking out or you've got a lot of deep stuff. You've got a lot of depth and a lot of soul in your vocals, in your lyrics, and in your guitar playing that we don't really hear a ton of anymore. You see it with guys like John Mayer. A lot of the stuff that people think is missing from maybe mainstream pop currently is totally in everything that you're doing, as far as I can tell. And I could hear that when I heard the album. And I'm really getting a strong sense of that now talking to you. You always sort of wonder, is this new artist just a new artist that, people think is going to be big, and so they feed him these songs or whatever, and they hope that he can pull it off? No, this is all authentic Amani Burnham, from what I can
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's rare these days to find somebody with your kind of passion and your kind of drive who's doing this. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. I was just talking about that the other day because it's like, you know, I hate school. I hate it so much. I fully. I feel like now I've fully like kind of immersed myself in this is in like the music and like the whole sort of I guess the business stuff like getting gigs, getting all these getting flights and then doing interviews and stuff. That's all I want to do is just be able to play live and have this be my job.
Uh,
And I was just thinking like school has not gotten me anywhere. Like it hasn't gotten me to do this. Like at school has just been a thing that I do just because it's school. And I do kind of
yeah,
agree. You
yeah.
need a degree to like fall back on and stuff like that. But like it hasn't gotten me like here on this podcast. It hasn't gotten me the skills I have on guitar. It hasn't shown me how to write songs and stuff like that. And even with the music classes that I took, like it was fine, but it's just not like for me, this is kind of lame, but music theory always just took the fun out of it because I'm not good at like paying attention. And music theory, it didn't necessarily go way over my head because I obviously play guitar, but some of it was like, yeah, this is just too much, and I just fully kind of immersed myself in this, and so like that's the thing we were saying, like not a lot of people are willing to like, you know, not do school and just do this. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people because the only job I've ever had is this. You know what I mean? At 20 years old, and like that is like in retrospect, it's crazy because like when I was like 16, I wasn't like necessarily looking for jobs because I was just playing guitar every day. Then I told my friends like, look, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? It's not. I feel like having a job, it's like it's not very lenient on uh oh, you got a gig, then you're free to go. Unless you work at like a guitar center and stuff like that.
Right, right.
So,
No, and you're
but
absolutely
that's just
right,
kind
man.
of yeah,
I feel like I was really lucky because my dad was a career guitar player, so he totally got it. And he played his first professional job when he was 10 years old, as a matter of fact. His first paying gig at 10 years old.
that's
And
cool.
I played my first paying job when I was 15. But that's also around the age when everybody's starting to get jobs and, work in a restaurant in the kitchen or a paper route or whatever you're going to do and stuff. And I started doing a solo act on just acoustic guitar and vocals and stuff. And that allowed me from the time I was 15 to start making money, like just playing. And that was the
Yeah,
coolest thing in the world because I mean, then, like all summer long, I'm just like sitting on the porch playing for, 6, 8, 10 hours a day or whatever. In the wintertime, I'm in my room when it's snowing outside, and just doing the same thing. And
yeah,
and that's a freedom, I think, that a lot of people don't have, just to be able to totally immerse yourself in it. You've certainly taken it to a level that very few people, get to. Um, and at your age, or at any age. How did the record come about anyway? You are
Uh,
with like the quintessential blues label. And
I'm with Blind Pig Records, and I started my guitar account in 2023, like September, and then in like October of 2024, either late September, October of 2024, they Jeff Schroedel had emailed me and he DM'd me on Instagram, and so I kind of connected with him. I called him. I had my first call with him in the dorm. I'll never forget, which was funny. And then we just spent kind of the months, like I would send him songs, and like by then I really wasn't singing too well. I'm still working on it now, but so I just send him some vocal stuff and just kind of update him on where I am with the band I used to have. And then we just so happened to be in Memphis for the blues competition. So we met up there, we just kind of talked about things. And then like I think like April of last year, we he kind of gave me the official offer, so we just worked through all the fine print and stuff like that. But then last summer we just kind of worked on all the songs and came up with all the titles and like what do we want it to be about. So that's kind of how it all happened.
so it sounds like you were discovered by Jeff then, and Jeff.
Yeah. I
Very
never I
few
never
people
really
know the business as well as Jeff.
yeah. I never really like asked them on like because a lot of people have asked me that same question, like how did they find you? I was like, I don't know. I just kind of assumed it was just through Instagram. Like he was probably just on Instagram scrolling and he found me. That's what I'm assuming.
You had this awesome opportunity. You took the opportunity. You're making so much of it now, and it's just an awesome, awesome thing because you know so many people are, I think, afraid to put themselves out there in the first place, even on social media. And then if there's an opportunity that comes along, they're really afraid to explore it. And you are proof positive that if you do this and you're committed to it and you put yourself out there and you explore these opportunities, you can really just make an awesome, awesome thing out of it. And you've got this incredible record. Um, so tell me about the release of the record and all that too, if you would.
Yeah, it'll be out May 29th, a day before my birthday, so that's
Ah,
gonna be a good week.
yeah, for
Yeah, it'll be out
sure.
it'll be out May 29th on, Apple Music, and on Spotify. And you could pre-order it now. If people want to follow me on Instagram, amani.guitar, I'll post it's on my profile. You can find it and you can like pre-order it on the Blind Pig website and stuff like that. But yeah, it'll be out May 29th on those platforms.
And again, I'm going to put links to all that stuff right in the description to this video, so you can get not just to Amani's profile and all that stuff and website and stuff like that, but also straight to the Blind Pig website where you can pre-order this. Because trust me, I've been fortunate enough to hear it early ahead of most people. And
Yeah.
listen, everybody, you don't know what you're missing. You got to hear this as soon as it drops on May 29th. It's just an awesome, awesome thing. Now, that would normally be a good place to like break and sign off, except I don't want to be done talking with you yet, man. So
That's all right. Yeah.
so let's keep it going because I got some more questions for you. You were born in Ethiopia. When did you move to the States anyway?
I was I was only like a few months old, so I don't remember the
Okay.
time I spent when I was in Ethiopia. But I also like I mean, I don't remember the travel to go to because we went from it was Ethiopia, then my parents adopted me, and then we lived in Rhode Island for a few years, and then it was from Rhode Island, it was to Connecticut.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you tell us about your family a little bit too? Your
Yeah.
parents?
I mean, my dad was way into music, but he knows how to play guitar. He has guitar lessons today, but he wasn't like that wasn't his profession and his kind of what he wanted to do. And then my mom's also into music, and she's a teacher and she helps people like that. Me and my brother couldn't be any more like the opposite. Like he's better academically and he's more athletic, so he's like really into sports, and I'm worse academically and I'm way into music. So we just and we're both adopted, but we're not blood related. So we're literally like we couldn't be any more the opposite. But yeah, and then that's kind of what everybody does. My dad is just kind of works for like a uh I forget what he works for. Some electric company thing. But yeah. But my parents have just been super supportive of this. They've helped me get a lot of gear, and they've just kind of helped me you know, travel for help me like figure out all the traveling details for these gigs because it's not because this is new to everybody. Like I've got a this is more I have a ton of gigs this summer. This is more gigs I've ever had like in a year. So it'll be new for us. It'll be also new to the people in my band because I picked like I for people in my band I wanted to pick them like my age because it's just like we didn't necessarily talk about this, but it's like I think it's important for you know people my age to see other people my age playing like this sort of
Yes.
music. So
Yes, you are absolutely right. That's
yeah,
what keeps it alive. This isn't to knock anybody else, except I mean, you see somebody like me up there, like playing bass or something with you, and it's going to be a different vibe and a different, just a whole different
yeah,
look, I think, than a bunch of 20-year-olds, all
right.
doing it all with that same interest and making some killer music with it.
Yeah,
Um,
I had some of my best gigs where I'm like I'm playing to people my age, and like, cause they love it because it's not. I'm putting like my heart and soul into the show, and they can appreciate that, and like and it's they can appreciate it because it's very different from what they listen to, but it's still like entertaining, and it's like what I mean. It's still something that they can enjoy, and they don't even know that they're listening to like blues rock or what I mean. They don't know what they're really listening to, but they just know that oh, what he's doing is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Absolutely right. There are some parallels with history, I think, that not that I want to get too deep, and I definitely don't want to get into a history lesson or anything, a music history lesson or something like that, because I mean, then people are going to definitely click off and find something else to watch.
Yeah.
But, but just really superficially, just look at the music of the 40s and stuff and the really early 50s, and then when rock and roll started to come about, and then when 60s rock started to come out, and listen to the influences of that. If nobody's done that before, check that stuff out and look at that lineage and look at the stuff that you know just the difference in the soul and the feeling
Yeah.
from the prior era and what had been big to what it then became. And I think we're in a golden age right now for guitars, and I think we're in a golden age for music where if people like you, man, keep on doing what you're doing and putting it out there, I think people are going to be drawn to it because there is so much more feeling and so much more soul and stuff that people can actually connect to instead of a bunch of superficial garbage that we're saturated with. Not to knock anybody or knock even a certain style of music or anything, just in life now. I think we're just
Yeah.
we're oversaturated with just so much stuff, like scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through YouTube, and all that stuff. And there's so much like sensory overload, so to speak. And then for people to be able to hear something and just really connect with it and feel the soul of it coming through, like you're doing, I think that's what people are really looking for, what people really
Yeah.
need. You
That's what
know?
I yeah. That's kind of I always like told my or I think I've told people this, but like my not necessarily I mean, I don't know. I feel like my job as a like musician and not necessarily well not just a musician, just like a young musician is to like I want to be able to play to people my age like more often because it's like I said before, it's just so cool to be able to show these people like this music is cool and in some ways, better than the stuff that they listen to now. You know what I mean? It's because it's at least the way I have my live show. It's pretty. It's just kind of raw. I mean, it's just an amp. I don't have a whole pedal board. It's just an amp, two pedals. It's a three-piece group, and it just shows that you like the music that we could play can be so simple. Like the setup could be so simple, but it could still be so like good and entertaining for people of my age. So.
Absolutely
That's I
right.
always felt like that was kind of my job, and hopefully, like I'll be able to play to people my age more often.
I love that, and I think you're gonna have plenty of opportunities to do that from the looks of it. So, what is your favorite gig that you've played so far up till now in your life, and what is the thing that you're looking forward to the most in the coming year for your tour?
Uh, I think my favorite gig that I've had, like ever. It wasn't even recently. It was last year. It was like the playing of people my age. It was at the Drake in Amherst, Connecticut. It
Huh.
was one of the best gigs I ever. I mean, I didn't, it's not that I like played like. I mean, I played fine, but like it was just the energy that the crowd was kind of giving off, and like the kind of the excitement that we all had, knowing that it was going to be a good show. That's in like the top five best shows I've ever had, and I'm just kind of looking forward to like playing all these gigs and going to all these different places just because I've got a new band from when I played that one at the Drake.
Mm,
So we've
okay.
got we've got new songs, and now that this album's coming out, we've got a ton of those album songs that we'll be playing. So I'm just looking forward to showing people the what we can do and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for that.
That's awesome. If you could play with any musician, who would that be?
I'd say Paul McCartney.
Sure,
I'd have to give it to Paul.
sure,
I don't
sure.
know if
Well,
I mean, but for a guitar player, I'll give you an answer for a guitar player. I just gotta
yeah.
think. I think maybe maybe John Mayer. I
Huh.
think John Mayer would be pretty cool because I just like that some of his stuff isn't just blues. Like he could pull out if he needs it because he's John Mayer, and that's kind of who he is. But I think since he could also play a lot of like those pop stuff, I like it a lot. So
Yeah, and his pop stuff even, he has been so inventive. He put out that awesome, like, '80s sounding album that and I'm just blanking on the name of it now, which embarrasses the heck out of me, but he put that out a few years ago, and he had approached that, he said, from if we had gone from the current time backwards into the '80s, what would the '80s music have sounded like? Who could ever conceptualize something like that and do that?
right,
And this guy's so
yeah,
some incredible songs, just,
and that's yeah,
you know
it's cool that he can do that.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
that's
like
really, really cool.
yeah, it's because he's at the position where he could do stuff like that and people will love it anyway. And I hope one day I could get like that because I got so many like ideas that I want to be able to put on an album. So
Well, I think you are gonna have a lot of opportunities to do that from everything I've seen and everything I can tell. And
thank you.
and seriously, if there's ever anything that I can do for you, um, to help support you, future interviews, whatever else, I definitely wanna do that for you, man, because I am so excited about
Thank
what
you.
you're doing. So Jeff's got my number and all my contact info, so you ever wanna get in touch, you are more than welcome to anytime, and
Okay.
so is Jeff, obviously, too, and I hope he
Yeah.
knows that. And, I guess, with that, I want to let you get back to your day and to your playing. And yeah, exactly right, man. But thank you so much for being here. Again, everybody, remember, right in the description of this video, I've got links to all of Amani's stuff. His new album, where you can pre-order it. Once the album comes out, I'll add the Spotify link right to the album and the Apple Music link right to the album, so you've got that stuff direct. Until then, check out all the socials and stuff, and just listen to everything that this guy is doing because he's the real deal. Everybody. Um, Last but not least, I always like to close with since I do a lot of teaching on my channel and a lot of guitar lessons and stuff, um, and guitar lesson videos, what is your best piece of advice that you have for people just starting out playing guitar?
Definitely, play play and kind of like learn what you love to listen to yourself. And it's that and like definitely just, play every day. I mean, that's the combination that I did. I listened to a lot of like the blues and just like the rock stuff, and I love that. And I just played it every day for around like 5 or 6 years, and it got me to be where I am now. So that's the sort of stuff that helped me.
That is awesome. That is awesome. That's great advice. That is sage wisdom from someone who is way too young to be a sage. And thank you so much for being here, man. I cannot wait
Of
to get
course.
to see you live someday, and
Yeah.
to hopefully get to shake your hand and have some of that magic, hopefully, like osmosis
Rub off.
wise through to me.
Yeah. Space
And
Jam.
right. Well, I wish you all the very, very best in the world, guys. Check out Amani's music. Check out his website and his Instagram and all that stuff, YouTube, obviously, and all that. And I will see you right here again in John's Guitar Lounge. And hopefully, we'll see Amani back here someday, too.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. I can't think of the way to put it. This might be one of those things where I sort of edit out my trying to think of the word thing, or maybe I'll leave it in. Who knows? But